Wolverine versus Ghost Rider. At the beginning of any superhero team-up, the heroes need to fight against each other, but why? Why is Wolverine fighting Ghost Rider? Well, at this moment in time, Wolverine is in hiding. The mutants are on the run during the event known as the Fall of X, but that doesn't mean he's not going to save the day. Let's get into the beginning of Weapons of Vengeance. The present day. Johnny Blaze sits at the edge of the hotel bed, drinking a beer and reading another article about a ritualistic murder nearby. He takes a sip of his beer before sighing and getting up. His motorcycle roars through the night, and he finds himself at a house where the murders took place. He slips inside, the beam of his flashlight falling on a massive bloodstain on the floor. Behind him, the door swings open, and in a flash, Wolverine is at his back, his claws already popped, pushed to Johnny's throat. "It's happening again, bub. What are we gonna do about it?" Wolverine growls. You see, it was many years ago. A car pulled up outside of Xavier's School for gifted youngsters. A woman got out and motioned to the young boy in her charge. "Come on, Bram, please," she says as he hesitates in front of the large house. But Wolverine leaps from the shadowy rooftop, landing in front of them, popping his claws. "What the hell are you doing here?" The woman steps back, shielding the boy, asking Wolverine not to hurt them. She heard that the professor might be able to help the young boy. Wolverine begins to move close, but the door suddenly opens to reveal Charles Xavier. "I'm Charles Xavier, and you're very welcome here," he says, rolling out, ordering Wolverine to stand down. "You'll have to excuse my friend, he's rather suspicious of outsiders," Charles says with a smile. He motions them inside where Ada, the social worker, sits Bram down at the kitchen counter, asking him to color while she speaks to the professor. The two sit at the kitchen table drinking cups of coffee while Ada explains that Bram has been in and out of several foster homes. They each say the same thing. "I guess he scares people. Things around him, they just happen, like pets die, people disappear. Some say they've heard strange noises, a voice that doesn't sound like his own, that doesn't sound human," she says with fear in her eyes, admitting that she hoped Charles could help the boy. Charles turns to Bram and asks him over. He looks at the boy's drawing of a strange creature. "Tell me, what are you drawing there?" Bram tries to hide it before admitting that it's the bad thing inside of him, but Charles smiles, telling the boy that it's all right. He reaches out, putting his hand on Bram's forehead. "I know what it means to be yourself when you don't fit in with the rest of the world," Charles says, and when he looks inside of Bram's mind, he sees nothing but anger and fire. The thing inside is lashing out, and it throws Charles Xavier back. He opens his eyes and looks at Ada while holding the burnt hand that was placed on Bram. "I know why you came here, hoping I would take in the boy. I would consider it if he were a mutant, but that's not the case." Moments later, Ada and Bram have returned to their car, with Ada angry that Charles is refusing to help. And as they drive away, Logan joins Charles in watching them go. "Good riddance. The boy stunk like a steaming pile of sulfur." Meanwhile, at the New York Coliseum, Johnny Blaze is sitting atop the ramp, prepared to make a death-defying jump. The crowd cheers as he revs the motorcycle's engine and roars down the ramp. He flies into the air, leaping over a row of flaming buses. Something then seems to leap out of him, and the face of a monster roars through the flames. His distraction costs him, and he lands wrong. He falls from the bike, cracking his neck against the ground, sliding several feet. The birth of the Ghost Rider. Elsewhere, Ada and Bram have returned to the orphanage. She doesn't know what to do with the boy and is arguing with the director, who just orders her to get rid of him. "Look, I know it sounds terrible, but the children can't seem to decide whether they hate or fear him, and frankly, I feel the same." They look up at the sound of scuffling from the children's room above them. Ada looks at the blood beginning to seep through the ceiling. They both rush upstairs to find the dormitory in shambles, with a massive, horrific statue made out of the remains of all of the children in the center of the room. "Bram!" Ada shouts, but the boy has already escaped out the window. Back at the Xavier School, members of the X-Men are enjoying a leisurely night in, but lightning cracks outside as the storm rages and the power suddenly goes out. "Where are the candles?" Logan asks, heading into the basement under Xavier's direction. The front door suddenly bangs open as wind rips through the school, and Kitty gets up to close it. But outside, she finds the young Bram standing in the rain. "What are you doing out here?" she asks him. Bram looks up at her, his eyes suddenly blazed. Wolverine comes back up the stairs to find blood on the floor. He drops the candles, popping his claws. He moves through the shadows of the school, passing by the unconscious bodies of Kitty and Colossus. He charges into the main hall to find a massive demon standing over Charles. The monster roars as Wolverine charges it, slashing with his claws, but it takes no damage. Meanwhile, backstage at the Coliseum, Johnny has awakened to Doctor standing over him, and he sits up, turning to Roxanne, asking for a moment alone. "Thank God you're okay, Johnny," she says, but Johnny shakes his head. "Don't thank me. I crashed because I got distracted. I saw something terrible," Johnny whispers, and he turns to the TV to see a news report about the massacre of the orphanage. Johnny suddenly gasps as pain takes over his body. He struggles as smoke and fire begin to leak from his eyes and mouth. At the school, Wolverine is still slashing, but the demon swings at him, knocking him across the room. Logan stands up to see Bram standing nearby. His eyes held nothing but a dead gaze. Wolverine reaches for the boy, who smells of sulfur, and Bram hisses at him, his eyes beginning to glow with a hellish light. Logan only hesitates for a moment before slashing Bram across the chest, the boy reeling away and the demon bellowing with pain. It charges Logan, knocking him across the room before grabbing a hold of Bram and leaping through a window, carrying the boy off into the night. Logan rushes to Charles' side, but the professor merely looks at him. "I'm all right, Logan. Now go. Stop him." Logan doesn't hesitate, and in moments is on his motorcycle heading into the stormy night. But he isn't the only rider on that lonely road. The Ghost Rider is blazing through the night, screeching to a stop at a flaming car wreck. He dismounts, his hellish gaze falling on another statue of human remains. The rider turns at the sound of an approaching motorcycle. Logan roars towards him, popping his claws, leaping from his bike, but the rider is prepared. A chain writhing in hellfire whips out, lashing around Logan. The chain seems alive, pulling the mutant berserker into the air. "I'll gladly kill you, but you are not the evil that I seek," the Ghost Rider growls. Unknown to both of them, Ada has found Bram on the side of the road, and she gets out, pulling him close. "I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. Please, help me. Make it all stop," the boy whispers as she hugs him in the rain. Now, in the present day, Logan and Johnny look at the pictures on the wall, recognizing Ada and Bram through the years. This was their home. Logan looks at his friend. "Are you ready to finish what we started, Johnny?" Johnny nods his head. "Hell yeah." We now go to present-day Massachusetts. The hooded figure heads into a stadium, using a device that helps him find the mutant hiding in the cheering crowd. He follows the mutant into the restroom. The young man, unaware of the danger, stands at the urinal. In the mild reflection of the tiled walls, he sees the flame of the demon behind him, and he turns to scream, but it's too late. A few days ago, Johnny and Logan had continued to follow the trail, finding another grisly scene at a local campground. They watch from the woodline while the police work. Johnny hisses in frustration. "We'll always be too late. This is our 5th crime scene in this many days. Now we have to wait for these cops to finish up before we can even hunt around for clues, most of which will be swept and bagged by then," Johnny whispers to his friend, but the two suddenly get an idea, and they wait for the next crime. This time, they intercept the forensic truck on its way to the scene. They arrive at the stadium bathroom dressed as crime scene forensic investigators, asking the rest of the officers to step outside. "It's a little tight in here. Maybe everyone could clear the room while we take some photos and make our initial sweep," Johnny suggests to the cops. When they're alone, Logan slumps down to investigate the artistic display of the body. "It looks like something sold at a demon craft fair," he growls, turning back to Johnny, who is staggered over the sink and splashing water on his face. "What's wrong?" Logan questions, and Johnny looks at his blazing reflection. "The rider. He wants out. He's getting impatient." Logan nods, making another suggestion. The pair take the body and head to see Jeff Bannister at one of the CIA satellite labs. With the body laid out on the table, Jeff questions what they're looking at while he tests the body to see if it's a mutant. The pair explain the symbolism and demonology of each crime scene and ask Jeff if he can check the databases for anything that might point them in the direction of the killer. When Jeff sits at the computer, he begins to type in Johnny's suggestions. Demonic symbols then begin to scroll across the screen. "Jeff, you gotta be careful with this stuff. When you're exposed to too much of it," Johnny begins to say. But in the past, at their first meeting, the Ghost Rider holds Logan aloft in the air with his hellfire chains. "I will gladly kill you, but you're not the evil that I seek," the Ghost Rider growls. Wolverine swings, slashing through the chains, falling to the ground as Ghost Rider breathes hellfire on him. Logan rolls out of the way, coming up with his body still burning. "Evil, I'm gonna teach you a thing or two about the word," he says, charging forward, but Ghost Rider reaches out, grabbing him by the throat.
Listen to me. I didn't do this, though the killer is of my kind. You and I seek the same justice, the rider says before releasing Logan. Who are you?
Logan growls, but the fire begins to go out and suddenly Johnny Blaze stands before him. I'm Johnny Blaze and that was the Ghost Rider, he gasps, turning back to the wrecked car, explaining that the evil has escaped.
Escaped? What do you mean? How do you know?
Because the other guy can feel it, Johnny tells him. Both of them are unaware that at this time Bram is sleeping soundly as Ada drives him further and further away. Back in the present day, the pair have arrived at the old orphanage that Bram once stayed at. Logan charges over to the director of the orphanage, asking about the old murders. The man gets mad and orders him to leave. I don't need any more attention. I've already up to my ass in fines, the director shouts.
I got a bad temper, bub. Best you don't trigger it,
Logan says, telling the man that they need to get some files from that time. But Johnny has staggered away, hearing the voice of the Ghost Rider in his mind, ordering him to open a locked door. Johnny smashes through the door to find a child within, beaten and starved. The child stands near spikes and signs that read that they are naughty. Kid, are you okay? Johnny asks as he reaches for the child. He puts me in there when we're bad. The child gasps and he pulls the kid to safety, ordering them to leave as his eyes begin to blaze. Better run, kid. You don't want to see this. Johnny growls as Ghost Rider takes over, a fist suddenly punching through Johnny's chest as the rider rips his way free, fire blazing around them, and the director staggers back in fear. I know I said my temper was bad, but wait till you meet this guy, Logan tells him, and the rider raises his hand and chains whip out, slashing through the director's flesh, pulling him into the air. I'm not usually the one urging people to chill out, but don't kill this guy. We came here for intel, Logan says as he steps towards the Ghost Rider. But the rider's eyes blaze as he steps forward, peering into the man's soul.
The way to extract information is through pain and penance,
the rider growls, and in moments he sees that someone came from the government and took the files. The rider walks back out to their waiting bikes.
The man who removed the files worked for the government. He had a federal warrant. The address listed should be familiar with us both. Hell's Backbone, Utah.
The rider growls as he brings his bike to life. Over in Utah, the guards protect the entrance to the headquarters of Weapon Plus, the Hellfire program. I hope you guys enjoyed Weapons of Vengeance. Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell because we're going to be bringing you the sequel within this week to tie into the trailer drop. So I hope you guys enjoyed today, and I will see you soon right here.